نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we have gathered here again once to try and analyze the state of our hearts, the state of our spiritual selves, in order to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, like the lives and the way of the awliya Allah, inshaAllah azza wa jal. My dear beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's beloved devotees, try to understand this very clearly in your minds, that mankind, me and you, we are made of two things. We have the body and the soul. Mankind is made of two things, the body and the soul. If the body becomes ill, then man becomes aware of it. But in regards to whether or not the soul is diseased, whether the soul is experiencing pain, and whether the soul is healthy or not, man doesn't even begin to try and find out. In the present, there are many people who can diagnose and treat such bodily illnesses. However, it is very rare to find those people who can diagnose and treat the spiritual diseases and the diseases of the soul and the heart. But there are some signs which have been kept in relation to the illness of the body and the soul. If a person has a headache, or if he can't taste food, these all act as signs to show that a person's body is diseased. But what signs are there which tell us that our body isn't diseased but our soul is? There are some signs for this as well. Number one, if a person doesn't enjoy the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if a person doesn't enjoy the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then know that the soul is diseased. Number two, if a person doesn't feel pleasure in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then know that the soul is diseased. Number three, if one finds laziness in obeying the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing that which He has commanded and refraining from that which He has prohibited, then know that the soul is diseased. So with this, if a person enjoys backbiting, enjoys lying, enjoys being jealous, then understand also that these are signs that a person's soul is diseased. So there are many things which if we are to think about, they stand as signs which conclude to the fact that the soul is diseased. Now, it is sad to say that we fail to understand the reality of the body and the soul and the relation between the two. Rather, it is sad to say that more than 95% of people don't even know what the relation is between these two and how they come together to form a human being and what the needs and necessities of each is. Now, moving on, there are two types of creation. One is alami khalq and another is alami amr. What is alami khalq? Alami khalq is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, like the earth, the skies, mankind, everything. That regarding which it has been said, Allahu khaliqu kulli shay, that the creator of all things is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in relation to the creation, we need to try and understand this. In our minds, we must realize that the body and the soul, it is the meeting of these two things which create insan, which create humankind, which creates me and you. But the body, it comes from a different place, and the soul, it comes from a different place. The body is from Alam-e Khalq. And what did we call Alam-e Khalq? That which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And Alam-e Khalq is special and different from Alam-e Amr, because Alam-e Khalq is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates in such a way that it forms gradually, step by step. Like a baby, it isn't born all at once. Step by step. It is first in the womb of the mother to begin with, and then it forms and develops in the womb of the mother, and then it is born, and even after it is born, it grows up and it matures into a man and into a wise old man afterwards, all gradually, step by step. It's not all of a sudden. Likewise, even with the earth. In regards to the creation of the earth and the skies, it has been mentioned fi sittati ayyam, in 6 days. So this is alam-e khalq, that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created gradually, step by step. The other one mentioned was alam-e amr. Now that is different to alam-e khalq, because it is not created gradually. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He did not create it gradually or step by step. Rather, this type of creation, alam-e amr, is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all at once. That in regards to which it has been mentioned in the Holy Quran, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. And His only task when He intends a thing is to command it be, and it thereupon happens. So the body and the soul, the two things which come together to form the human being, it comes from two different places. Alam-e khalq is where the body comes from, and alam-e amr, where the soul comes from. So we have begun to think as the body as everything. Mankind has begun to think of the body as everything, whereas in reality, this is not the case. If you want to understand the relation between the body and the soul, and the reality of the relation between the body and the soul, you can do so by taking the example of a rider and a ride. The rider being the soul and the ride being the body. The purpose of the body is only to transport the soul from this world into the next. The reality of the body isn't one which stays with us in this life and in the next. It is merely a means of transportation for the soul. Our true being is within our soul. So the body isn't everything, the soul is. And just like this, the body isn't the biggest or the most important thing, the soul is. Just like the biggest illnesses are not found within the body, rather within the soul. The illnesses of the body are not everything. The illnesses of the soul are. Nowadays, we see quite often that people are talking and walking and living their normal daily lives one day, and then the next they are ill with terminal diseases. What is this, and why does this occur? If we look at the pious sages, the pious saints of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will find that they were not struck with as many illnesses as we see people today struck with. Why was this? It was due to the fact that the soul and the body are connected and linked in such a way and in such a manner that if the body feels something, the soul also feels this same thing. The body feels what the soul feels, and the soul feels what the body feels. The stronger the soul is, the body feels that much stronger too. The weaker the soul is, the body also feels that much more weaker. However, the pious bondsmen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they had such strength within their souls that their bodies also felt this strength. Their bodies also felt this strength. If the soul is strong, then the body is strong. Remember this. This is why the awliya Allah, the pious friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they would arrive on the battlefields, the enemy would not feel any strength in front of them because of the strength of their souls. That is why the friends of Allah, even though they are not physically built or muscular in nature, rather thin, of a thin stature and more wise, they still held the strength to strike the enemy with their hand hard enough that they would fall and be defeated. This was due to the strength of not just their bodies, but the strength of their souls. And like we mentioned, the soul resides within the heart. Therefore, it was due to the strength of their souls and the strength of their hearts that the body also felt this strength. Striking the dead back to life with their hands. This is the strength of their soul, not their body. The state of man being changed by a single gaze of theirs. This was not the physical strength of their bodily eyes, rather the spiritual strength of their eyes of the heart. Because as we mentioned last week, the soul resides within the heart. Performing Salatul Fajr with the same wudu as Salatul Isha for 40 years, this is the strength of the soul which allows one to do this and still not feel any illness or weakness. So the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they put their entire focus and attention upon their souls and the progress of their souls and the health of their souls, not on the health and progress and success of their bodies. The biggest illnesses, they're not found within the soul, they are found within the body. The result of which can be seen through the fact that you will never see in comfort a person who is struck with the illnesses of the soul. But the fact is that those who are not struck with the spiritual diseases, no matter where they are in life, no matter who they are in life, whether they are sat on a sofa, whether they are sat on a bed, whether they are sat on the floor or on a throne, in each case, they will be at peace and in a state of tranquility and comfort. Because the strength of their souls is such that they realize that there is no true comfort in this life besides through the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the ishq Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So these friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter where they are in life, no matter what position they are placed in among the people, they have a higher spiritual position, and the strength of their souls is the reason for this. Hence they are always at peace and tranquility, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing only that which He has promised for them. My beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's beloved devotees, within the spiritual diseases, we have things like kufr, we have things like shirk, jealousy, backbiting, lying, stinginess. All these things we have within the realm of spiritual diseases which our souls become ill with. If we look conclusively, then all things we see within another person which we don't like, all bad mannerisms, all bad social etiquette, and all bad morals within mankind, these are all through the diseases of the soul. And remember this, my dear brothers and sisters, these illnesses that we are talking about, the illnesses of the soul, the diseases of the soul, they do not only ruin this life, but they also ruin the life of the next. Bodily illnesses, they only ruin this life of a person. If a person is struck with a bodily disease, they will only feel the pain in this life. But if a person is struck with the diseases of the heart, then it will not only ruin this life of theirs and their communication and connection and relation with others, but it will also ruin the life of the qabr and the life of the hereafter for them as well. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me for any mistakes that I have made. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first of all gives me the tawfiq to act upon what I have said today. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Sunni Dawate Islami the strength to carry on the work, the beautiful work that they are doing all across the globe. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us all strength in our souls through the barakah of the work of Sunni Dawate Islami and Hazrat Maulana Noorie. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps us under the shadow of Hazrat until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Ameen. وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.